Hey there, welcome back to my channel. My name's Marissa and I like to talk about books and book design. We're in a little bit of an unconventional position here today because I scheduled the live this morning at whenever, and then of course I have terrible time management skills and I started cooking an elaborate dinner and I can't abandon ship now. So we're just gonna be going live from the kitchen today and I'm gonna cook while we chat. So hopefully, I don't know, can you hear my stove? I'm cooking a little pasta. Hi, Laura. How are you doing? Good to see you. Is anyone else eating dinner right now? Or better yet, cooking dinner? This is a pasta I got from the farmer's market yesterday. It's like a handmade pappardelle, like rosemary thyme, I think. And I just cooked up like a white wine butter sauce with mushrooms. And I'm just grating some cheese. How's everyone doing? I will talk about the books I read in July just momentarily, but we're in the crunch time right now because the pasta is on heat. So I can't be burning my kitchen down on live. That would be crazy. So in the meantime, while I finish up my cheese, let me know, 1, how are you doing? 2, how was your reading in July? Did you find any new favorites? Was it feeling slumpy? Please let me know in the chat. I read 5 books, which seems to be like pretty typical for me this year. And I had some pretty good reads overall. So I'm excited for us to chat about it. Okay, almost done. I kind of feel like I'm on a cooking show right now. Here she is. Trying to get it a little bit more saucy. Once I add the cheese, should be good to go. Let's see. Laura said, I had a pretty good reading month, read 8 books, but now you're kind of slumpy. I feel like that's what happens whenever I'm like, I read a lot, like more than my average, monthly average. The next month I like don't do quite as well. That's just me though. So hopefully the slump doesn't last long. But pretty great reading month. So I want to know what your favorite was that you read of those 8. I'm just going to chop up some basil and then we'll plate it and get chatting, okay? Basil, also from the farmer's market. Feeling very like shop local right now. That was kind of a dumb thing to say. I'm feeling shop local. Yeah. You all might be surprised. Wait, I'm forgetting. I read 2 romance books in July. I know that for a fact. I can only think about what one of them is right now. Oh, actually, I just remembered. And I loved both of them, so get ready, I guess. I'm cooking, it's like a mushroom pasta. This is like some pappardelle pasta I got from the farmer's market this morning. I was saying earlier when I got on that I just poorly managed my time. So I've been cooking and I didn't want to like stop. I didn't want to be late to the live and I didn't want to stop cooking either. So we're just doing both. Okay. I'm gonna run this under some water and then we'll get chatting for real. Here's what we're looking like. My bowls aren't cute enough to make it like a true like beautiful presentation, but just trust it's good. Okay, let's see if I can get like a good overhead shot. Ooh. Hopefully you trusted the process. Your favorite Carrie Soto's back. Okay, I haven't read that one. I read what is the other one that she's in? Malibu Rising. I did read that one and I loved that when I read it, but it's been a few years now. Okay, we're moving over to my table. Enjoy the mess in my living room for just one moment. I'm getting my bowl and I'll be right back. Okay, who's ready to actually get into it now? Here's the finished product. Sorry that I'm gonna be eating on live. Hopefully, maybe I'll like mute myself while I'm chewing. I don't know. Okay, let me pull up my little slideshow. Hannah says, do you have any recs for romance book that have really good meaning or you still think about? Yes, definitely. So I'm like, I always say that I'm like not a romance reader, and then like I read romance like frequently. And the ones that have stuck with me, I'm a really big Allie Hazelwood lover, which I know she's not for everyone. She can be like a little bit silly with it. So if you're not like, I don't know, aware of that going into it, it can be like a little bit cringy, but if you go into it with an open mind and an open heart, I think the actual like stories are always so good. And my favorite from her was Check and Mate. That's actually her young adult romance book. But the characters just really stuck with me. I think she like does the YA genre pretty well. Like it felt very coming of age, and even though I'm not of that age anymore, I could just remember what it felt like to be in that area and growing up. So it hit home a little bit. And then just like the tension between the characters was so good. What else? Well, actually, another one is going to be in my wrap up that we're about to get into. I think it's the first one on the list. So why don't I just get into it? Let me share my screen. Ooh. Never read any of her books. I actually have not read Deep End. That one came out earlier this year. So I haven't read it yet. So I can't say, but I probably will read it soon. So I'm sure it will be in one of my videos. But yeah, I read most of the other ones. I think The Love Hypothesis is a really good one to start with. So that's what I would recommend. Okay. So going into my July wrap up, as I mentioned, I read 5 books and overall they all did like pretty well. So pretty positive month. The first one, Happy Place by Emily Henry. You can see here immediately, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I really love this one. And it's actually the only Emily Henry book I've given 5 stars. So that's saying something. Eden's here. Hey, Eden. Okay, I'm going first bite of this pasta I created. So please bear with me for just a moment. Of course, this is like the most difficult pasta to eat too. So this is just not going to be cute. Oh, it's so good. I love mushrooms. Okay, so Happy Place is Emily Henry's novel that sounded not English. Emily Henry's novel that is second chance romance. So the two main characters, Wynne and Harriet, have actually broken up, but they have not told their friends yet that they broke up. And they are in the same sort of friend group. So they don't want to like break up the friend group too, essentially, when they deliver this bad news. So they decide when they go on their annual friend trip to Maine that they're just going to pretend date each other and not tell their friends they've broken up yet, to kind of just keep the magic going for one more summer. But as you can imagine, lots of tension. There's just so much tension, and it's so good because it's pretty apparent from the beginning that they still have really strong feelings for each other. And it's like you're just kind of rooting for them. Like, I want them to get back together, but I don't even know why they broke up. I don't know how they got together in the first place. And Emily Henry just so like masterfully reveals that throughout the whole novel. I just thought the writing was great. The characters were great, had perfect pacing. I really enjoyed this one. Here's what I put in my pasta. So the base is already like a rosemary thyme pasta, so it had some flavor there. And then I sauteed some onions and mushrooms in butter. What is that? A white wine, sherry, and some chicken stock. And then I added some cheese and basil and chives. And Leah's here. Hi, Leah. I'm so glad that you are also a Happy Place lover. Everyone who, like, my fellow friends on booktube who I trust their recs, they have been agreeing with this. So I feel very strong in being able to recommend this one as a romance book. If you're looking for something to try out, this is a really good one. So I think I said this in my mid-year wrap-up video, but I'm going to say it again. So sorry to those who are hearing me repeat myself. But what I loved about this in comparison to some other romance books, sorry, I have food in my mouth, is that there's a lot of great built-up history for the characters and their relationship, that it doesn't feel insta-lovey. It doesn't feel fake or like I'm not buying the relationship. Like, it was very easy for me to believe that these characters would have gotten together and, you know, whatever else. And also, since they're on this big like friend trip with their friends, there's a lot of great background characters who have their own stories going on. And I just feel like that helps with the overall like believability and impact of a romance book if it isn't just solely focused on the two people falling in love. Like, I want to know what's going on in their lives. I want it to feel real and meaningful. And that's why I just love this one. I think I did read Ashley Poston. Is she the one who like The Dead Romantics and The 7-Year Slip? Is that who I'm thinking of? I read The 7-Year Slip and I enjoyed it. I think I gave it 3 stars. It was fun. It just didn't stick with me. And I also read A Novel Romance, and I was not a fan of that one. that one felt too insta-lovey for me. I didn't really buy it. And something about them being like trapped in the fictional world, it just like, it was hard for me to get into because I didn't care about the fictional world. So that one wasn't for me, but I did like the 7 Year Slip. So I want to try The Dead Romantics next. Laura says, Happy Place was the book that got me back into reading since I stopped as a child, so it has a special place in my heart. That is so special, and this is such a good one for that. I feel like this is a good one for getting back into reading, or like if you're trying to get out of a reading slump. It's just like very readable. Like the way she has it paced of like the mystery of their relationship keeps you wanting to turn the page, and I thought it was fantastic. So again, I think the 5 out of 5 stars speaks for itself. And it got me more excited to continue reading the Emily Henry books. I think I'm going to try Great Big Beautiful Life next. I've heard a lot of mixed things, but I'm willing to give it a chance because I like reading literary fiction, and I've heard that it's maybe heavy on that aspect and not so heavy on the romance. So I feel like it'll be good for me. And here is the second book I read in July. This is The Rachel Incident by Caroline O'Donoghue. Loved this book. Gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. This was actually my my in-person book club's July book, and pretty much everyone enjoyed it. At least I think the lowest rating was a 3 stars, but for the amount of people that showed up to the meeting, that was pretty good. Like we had a 5 star, we had lots of 4 stars, 4.5 stars, and I landed in the 4 star range. Okay, Laura also liked Great Big Beautiful Life. Okay. Well, if you liked Happy Place, then maybe we're on the same wavelength, and I'll like that one too. So I'll let you know. The Rachel Incident. How do I even get into this? This makes me giggle, but I've seen a lot of tweets of saying that this book is set in Sally Rooney's Ireland. And it's like, obviously, Sally Rooney doesn't own Ireland. She's not the only Irish author. But for some reason, this book just feels so Sally Rooney. And part of that is probably because it is set in Ireland and it is following some kind of messy early 20s Irish characters. I don't know. Ooh, hold on one second. I left all my pasta ingredients out, so my cat keeps jumping on the counter. Let's see. Leah says, love Great Big Beautiful Life 2, exactly for that reason. You can see Emily Henry's elopement as an author. Ooh, okay. You guys have me even more excited. I actually have it on a loan from my library right now on my Kindle, but I just have been reading my physical books more, so let me give her some attention. So the Rachel Incident follows this young girl named, you guessed it, Rachel. And she's in her early 20s she's going to school, living in Ireland. I can't remember what the school is, but it seemed like a pretty famous school. So my bad for not remembering. But she works at a bookstore and she meets this guy there who's named James. And she also has a really big crush on her professor, Dr. Byrne. And the whole thing kind of follows all three of their relationships in different in the different forms they take and evolve over the years that this book is set. 1 second. it's very much like a coming of age novel, but for your early 20s, which I love a book like that, especially when it's just so character driven, which I feel like coming of age and character driven just kind of go hand in hand. But it was so unexpectedly funny and just really like realistically messy, way more messier than I was in my early 20s. Like they're pretty crazy. And I don't think I can really like get into the details of the plot without spoiling, but sort of the catalyst for the story is that Rachel works in this bookstore with James. She tells him that she has a crush on her professor who is an author and he has this new book coming out. So they invite him to the bookstore to do a signing, you know, kind of build up his ego with the intention of Rachel hopefully forming a relationship with him, you could say. But it does not go in that direction and things just get super crazy and tangled throughout their lives. And I thought it was really good. It like was such an unexpected banger. I highly recommend this one, especially like I thought it was a really fun summer read, not for any particular reason. Like it's not set during summer, but something about, I just love a character driven novel all the time. But in the summer, like reading by the pool, it felt very gossipy and it's like, it's just so entertaining. And again, one that you just kind of keep wanting to turn the page and like find out what's going to happen next. And there's not even necessarily like a straightforward plot. It really is just following these characters and their lives. And you kind of never know what's coming next. This is the third book I read in June. Ooh. I don't remember, but this is maybe one of the only nonfiction books I've read this year. This is The Boys in the Boat by Daniel James Brown. And it follows the story of the boys on the Washington University rowing team and how they like formed a team and eventually got sent to the Olympics that was in Berlin. Sorry again. Whew, okay, one of my most chaotic lives must be. So the boys get sent to the Olympics in Berlin to compete against Germany, like the kind of early years of Nazi Germany, which is a true story. I mean, you can see it in the little tagline there, the epic quest for gold at the Olympics. So you can kind of guess what happens there. And I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. I really did think it was a good story and I liked it. I was a little bit bored at times, which feels like really awful to say because it's a true story. And I think it just didn't resonate for me personally because I'm so not a sports person, like even in the slightest. So even before we get into the bits about sort of their time in Germany, it's like a lot of it is like detailing their accomplishments, just like rowing in general, like at the university. Sorry, my cat's being crazy. Before that, and it's like can you hear him running around? They beat all these records and do all this stuff and like, you know, physically push themselves like crazy. And it just like, it didn't resonate because I'm so like outside of that world that, you know, like it gets very into the details about rowing specifically. And I just didn't really care about that. I really only wanted to hear about their time in Germany. And there were kind of some into talking about the war and different like historical figures, obviously like Hitler is mentioned, but there are some other ones on the outskirts that I hadn't really read about before, and I was really interested in hearing more about that. And then we'd get back to talking about rowing, and I'd be like, I don't want to hear about rowing. I want to hear about the history of the war. So for that reason, it just wasn't really the book for me. And that's okay. Like, it still is a really great book. Like, it's a well-written nonfiction book. It starts to do that thing I like in nonfiction where it almost reads more like a memoir. And I think maybe because I was listening to the audiobook, I just couldn't fully immerse myself in it, because it really reads like the guy is just telling you a story, but I never felt like fully immersed in it. I felt like someone was telling me a story. So overall, just not like the best pick for me personally, but I do think it is a good book, and I'm glad I know the story now. I know they made a movie about this, I think last year, and I would like it. I would like to see it. I think I might even like it more as a movie, just because probably in the movie it will feel more like first person, so I can like get more invested into the characters. But it also feels wrong to call them characters because they're not, they're people. So yeah, I don't know. I think if you're like interested in this sort of thing, then it's a good one and you should check it out. Hey Cami, how's it going? Thanks for joining. Just chatting through my July reads, eating my pasta, and getting my cat off the counter. Okay, on to number 4. And yep, there we have it. I did read another Ali Hazel. Oh my gosh, I'm stuttering like crazy. I did read another Ali Hazelwood romance book, and I am so excited to talk about it. And I'm so excited to share them. So I did read the newest Ali Hazelwood release, Problematic Summer Romance. And this one was so fun. I feel like my 3.5 rating is maybe deceiving my feelings on it, but I will explain my reasoning for that. But just know I really enjoyed it and I had so much fun reading it. So Problematic Summer Romance is actually the sort of sequel to her other novel called Not in Love. And it's not really a direct sequel. It's kind of just like other characters that were mentioned in the background of Not in Love. So I don't think you technically need to read Not in Love to enjoy this one, but I do think it would help. So Problematic Summer Romance follows the younger sister of the main character in Not in Love. Her name's Maya, and his best friend, whose name is Hark. That's like his last name, but she calls him Connor. And it's like an age gap romance because this is her older brother's friend. So that's why it's, the problematic. But just off the bat, she is 23 and I think he's like 32 or something. So it is an age gap, but it's not like, actually problematic. That's just sort of kind of like a joke in it. But it's kind of what you might expect. She has big feelings for the brother's friend, and it seems like he likes her, but he won't fully admit to it because he's uncomfortable with their age gap and doesn't want to seem like a creep. But it's set over the course of like a week. They are going to Italy for her brother's wedding. And so they are kind of, is there a word for this trope? Like in a confined space, not like that confined, but they're in like a small town in Italy together. So they're spending the week together on this vacation. So there's just a lot of really good banter, fun tension. And it like had me kicking my feet, giggling. There was one night when I was like up till 2 or 3 a.m. reading it. So it was like a really good book, and it got me in such like a romance mood. And okay, the other thing I'll say is that I had some trouble getting into it in the beginning, like the first 20%, because I personally struggle with like spin-off books where like the first bit is like kind of recapping you on what happened in the other book. It took me a minute to get into it, but once I was in it, I was in it. So my rationale for the 3.5-star rating, even though I'm kind of raving about it, is that I'm just comparing it to the other Ali Hazelwood books, and I just like the other one so much more that it didn't feel fair to like rate it on the same level. So I would actually say Not in Love is still my least favorite Ali Hazelwood, but I gave that one 3 stars. Like I still liked it. So this one is just right above it. I enjoyed it a bit more. I think just because the tension was a little bit better for me, at least. But yeah, I just like her other books more. So it's like I know I gave The Love Hypothesis 4 out of 5 stars, and this just wasn't quite on par with The Love Hypothesis. So it wasn't going to get that 4-star from me. But just know that I really enjoyed it, and I really recommend it if you're looking for to try an Ali Hazelwood book. My favorite, personally, is Check and Mate, which is her young adult book. I was actually talking about it earlier, I think, before you joined. But yeah, even though it's her young adult book, which I didn't think I would even like it because I thought it would be just like, you know, outside of my age group. I just thought it was so cute and nice, and I love the tension between the characters. And I guess I also just enjoy a book that's kind of surrounded around chess, even though I don't play chess, but it's something that I enjoy. So that one just does it for me. Like, I think I need to reread it, and it will just give me like such a feeling of like having butterflies in your stomach, of like, I don't know, young love. Like she really captures it well in that book, I thought. But of her adult novels, I think I did like Bride more than The Love Hypothesis, but it's hard to recommend Bride without like knowing who you're recommending it to, because it is like a little bit freaky. Not in that it's scary, but in the in the bedroom it gets a little bit freaky. So I hesitate to recommend it unless I know someone's gonna like it, but I love Bride. So yeah, that was the other romance book I read, and I had two pretty good ones this month. So now I'm reading the new Emily Henry this month, and maybe I'll pick up Deep End or something else. I don't know. I'm just like, something about reading a romance book on your Kindle at like 1 a.m, it just hits different. And then this is the last book I read in July. This is a thriller book called Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. And I think she's a pretty well-known thriller author, but this is the first book I've read from her. And it just happened to be available at the library on Libby. So I was like, okay, it's been a minute since I've read a thriller. I thought I'd give it a chance. And I did end up giving it 3 stars, but I enjoyed reading it. Like there was never any point when I was like reading it that I was like, all right, like I'm kind of done with this, which I very often feel when I read thrillers. I think the writing is it's well done. She's really great at like crafting the atmosphere, because this one's also set in Ireland, on like a small Ireland. Wait, what did I just say? On a small isle in Ireland. So it's very like moody and creepy, and it's like a thriller mystery, but it like feels paranormal at times. It's not actually paranormal though, which I kind of like when thrillers do that, but that's just me. And let me explain the plot to you. So, Beautiful Ugly, it follows this author. I'm trying to remember what his name is. I don't remember. I feel like it's like Mike or Jacob or something like that. Don't remember. And he is a pretty well, like, he has some bestsellers. And at the start of the book, he gets his first ever New York Times bestseller. And he's calling his wife to be like, why aren't you home? Like, we should be celebrating this. And on her drive home, she sees someone in the road. So she gets out of the car to help them. And then he never sees her again. She disappears. So we don't know what happened to his wife, who that person in the road was. And the majority of the story takes place a year later, as he's kind of trying to move on, like past this horrible thing that has happened. He hasn't been able to write in a year because he's been like obsessively trying to figure out what happened to his wife. And in like a last ditch effort to get him to write a book again, his agent offers to let him stay at her cabin on this island that's like, there are no cars there. There's only like 25 residents, super small. So it's supposed to be like he'll be isolated so he can actually write. But spooky things start happening, and the people on the island are weird. Cami says, I'm not a huge fan of Alice Feeney. Her books have always just been average. I can see that. This is the only one I read, but it was just okay. I feel like the whole time I was reading it, I was very like intrigued to find out what happened to his wife, and I did not guess the ending, so there's something to be said for that. But it did just get like a little bit outlandish. And I think I literally just said I liked the parts that kind of made it seem paranormal, but it became a little bit much. And so when the like conclusion finally came and it was revealed what really happened, it was like, really? Which is not a great feeling to be having after reading a book. But I still had fun reading it, so I'm not that mad. It was just, like Cami said, it's pretty average. The other thing I didn't like about this was, as you can see, gosh, the title is an oxymoron, Beautiful Ugly. And then every single chapter has like an oxymoron in the title. Like, I can't think of what they would be right now. The only one I can think of is Beautiful Ugly. There was like loud silence, that sort of thing. And I liked seeing that. Like, at first I was really enjoying it. I was like, oh, that's interesting, like how it like pertains to each chapter. But by the end of the book, it felt like she was trying so hard to like write it in there. I wish she had just titled the chapters that, but each title chapter was also included somewhere in the text of the chapter. So it just, after a while, felt like she had come up with like a list of oxymorons that she was like, that would be good in there. And she had to try like in post to make it fit in there. And it took me out of it. I wish if she had just left them as the title chapters, then it's like, just assume that your reader is smart enough to be like, oh, this is kind of a loud silence in this chapter. Like, you know what I mean? She didn't need to write it in there and explain it to us. So, it was okay. I would check out something else from her, but it's not going to be like top of my list by any means. And those are all the books I read in July. Pretty good overall. I'm definitely feeling a romance kick. I've also been reading Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil the whole month, which is what I'm going to be reading again during the sprint. I think I read the first like 3/4 of the book in like a week or two, and then I just like won't finish it up, partially because I'm busy, but also because I don't want it to end. I'm really enjoying it. So I'm going to be reading that, and I probably will finish it soon. I think I have like maybe 100 pages left, but it is kind of thick. It's like a 500-page book. What was I going to say? Let me eat this while I think. I remembered. If you noticed, every single book in my July wrap up was an audiobook. And so that's how I was like able to finish any book at all this month, by listening to audiobooks at the same time. But the whole month I was physically reading Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. And I was also reading an arc on my phone that a publisher sent to me called Vampires at Sea, which I'm not going to get into because I actually finished it yesterday, which was technically August, and it should be featured in a vlog I am filming. So you'll hear about that in the future. But for now, I got to keep eating my pasta. I've been yapping too much, so it's getting cold. But I'd like to do some cozy reading sprints if anyone wants to stick around and read with me. Probably the first couple of minutes is going to be eat with me, but then I'll be reading. Okay, another thing before we get into it. I finally posted a video again, not just going on live, last week with my mid-year freakout tag, which if you haven't watched it yet, go watch. And in it, I think I said I was going to try to get back to weekly uploads, because before my hiatus, I was doing a bi-weekly upload. And of course, I immediately failed that. I did not upload again on Friday. But in my defense, I filmed it. And when I went to edit it, foolishly the night before, I realized that the entire footage I filmed was out of focus. So I couldn't use it and I had to film it again. So there was just no way I was going to upload it on Friday. But I have been editing it and it should be up tomorrow. So it's like still less than bi-weekly. We're getting back into the swing of it, hoping to be weekly, but you know, as long as it's less than bi-weekly, I'll consider that a win. So all that to say, I think I might just do 2 sessions of 30-minute sprints tonight because I need to get back to edit my video. So hopefully you all are down for that. I know the autofocus killed me. I did that in my mid-year freakout too. I actually filmed my mid-year freakout tag like 3 times. And the first 2 times it was out of focus and I was like, I'm going crazy. And I don't know why I wasn't thinking about this until, again, when I just refilmed my video for this week. I forgot that my camera has like a hookup to an app on my phone where I can like check and see if I'm in focus. So hopefully that won't happen again now that I remember that tool I have, but the camera was like kicking my ass a little bit. Okay, I am pulling up a Pomodoro timer. My favorite little like Aura timer. If you are sticking around to sprint, please let me know in the chat what you're going to be reading. Yeah, I want to know what you're reading. if are you starting something new? Are you in the middle of something? Let me know, and then we can keep progress with how much we read during our sprints. I think this is the most I've ever like stood up during a live. But I didn't even have my book with me. So yeah, here's where I'm at. Like I'm truly, I'm like almost at the end. So I'm like, well, I was gonna say I might even finish this tonight, but no, because I need to edit my video. So that's what I will be reading. Let me know what you're gonna read. And I think, oh, okay. Well, also, while I'm eating for the first session, I will turn my audiobook on. So I'll let you know what audiobook I'm in the middle of now. Here, One Moment by Leanne Moriarty. This is the author of Big Little Lies, which I think is her most famous book. I read that one a few years ago and enjoyed it. This was just, again, this is how I usually pick my audiobooks of like what's available at my library at the moment. It sounded good. Here, One Moment is, I think it's like a thriller, you could say. And it's about one day, all these people are like stuck on a plane, not like there was not a crash, but it's like a delayed takeoff. They've been sitting in the terminal for like an hour when suddenly this old woman gets up and starts going around the plane and telling everyone at what age they'll die and their cause of death. And it's like, she's like a psychic. And I think I'm still at the part where she's like telling people their death prediction on the plane. But in the description, it says that they're kind of like aren't taking it seriously. But then the person who's predicted to die first actually does end up dying. So we'll just have to see where the book goes. I don't know, but it sounds so good. And I'm enjoying the first 2 hours of it because it's really reminded me of Final Destination. And I love Final Destination. It's also kind of, it feels like if Frederick Bachman wrote a thriller. Didn't know I needed that, but I'm thoroughly enjoying. So I will be listening to this while I'm eating during the first sprint session. And then I will switch to Bury Our Bones. I think there's a fire in my building. I should probably go. Let me just hold on. I'm okay. It was just someone cooking, but that scared me so bad because I just moved in here, so I've never like heard the alarm before. Anyways, let me just start the timer over. Oh my gosh. I was like, I didn't know how long I'd be gone, so I was like, well, you might as well get some reading done while I'm out. um yeah, someone was like, oh, I was just cooking eggs. Sorry. Whew. Anyways. So let's see what you all are reading. Laura is going to read The Perfect Divorce. I think I read, is that like the sequel to The Perfect Marriage? Because I read that one and I saw this on my like Libby app and I was surprised there was a sequel because it didn't really seem like it left off for a sequel. So let me know how you're liking it and if you think I should read it. Leah's going to bed. Good night, Leah. Thanks for joining. Irish Summer by Alexandra Page. Fun. All for Romance at 1 a.m. I know that's right. It just hits the best then. Okay, yes, it is a sequel. I need to really look into that. I like can't even imagine how they could continue that story. So consider me intrigued. Cami will be reading Enchantra. Is that the third one in the like Phantasma series, I think? How are you liking that series? I've heard good things. I feel like that might be a read on my Kindle type of book. If you recommend, let me know. Okay, now that like my heart is racing and I got my blood pumping, let's sit down and read. Okay, it's book 2. Okay, let me know how this series holds up. I think I probably will read it at some point. And I have been kind of itching for like a good fantasy series that I can just fly through. So that's a possible contender. Okay, starting the timer over again. Let's do it for real this time. Welcome back. How's everyone's sprints doing? Let me know if you didn't already. Let me know what you're reading, how much you read, and how you're enjoying it. So, I was mainly listening to the Here One Moment audiobook because I was eating and then I was crocheting. So I don't really know how to quantify this, but I was reading it for like up until 5 minutes. So for 25 minutes, I was listening to this. Still enjoying it. And then the final like 5 minutes, I finally switched over to Bury Our Bones, and I read 2 pages. So big things happening over here. Let's see. Laura said, right now it's pretty meh. Dang. But going to bed now. Almost 3 a.m. Oh my goodness. Good night. Thanks for joining. Always good chatting with you. 15 pages is so good, especially at 3 a.m. You're better than me. Right. Sorry, my brain is just all over the place tonight. This has seriously been the most chaotic live, from cooking to fire alarms to everything. So forgive me if I'm a little bit scatterbrained. I am down to do another 30 minutes because I want to actually get in a little bit more to Bury Our Bones, since I wasn't really reading that in the last sprint. And then I'll probably call it because I need to edit my video. So hopefully everyone else is cool with another 30 minutes. I'm like, you guys just watched me eat dinner, and now I'm like, ugh, I need a little treat. I want dessert. But I don't think I even have anything that I want. The eternal struggle. So I guess I'll just read instead. Maybe I might get a drink. Nah, I've moved enough. Let me just sit here for a little bit. Okay, I'm going to get the timer going again. All right, here we go again. See you in 30 minutes. Welcome back. That was another 30 minutes. How did everyone do? Let me know how many pages you read if you were reading during the sprint. I was reading Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil this whole time. I only read like 11 pages. I don't know, something about it. Like when I first started this book, I was flying through it, but I was just like sitting down and reading it for like a long period of time. Something about like, I don't know, I don't think the text is that small, but like it takes me a while to read the pages, but I think it's just because I'm like really soaking it up. So 11 pages, 30 minutes, not my best, but enjoying it nonetheless. Yeah, that's kind of all I think I have in me tonight. I need to keep editing my video so that I can hopefully upload it tomorrow for everyone, probably around 5 p.m. my time. Putting that into the universe so that it comes true, but we'll see. I guess I'll give you a little sneak preview if you made it this far into the sprints. New video is going to be about the Goodreads redesign, sort of reacting to that. And it's also a little bit of a rant. So stay tuned. Hopefully I'll finish editing it tonight and I can get it posted. And then after that, I'll be getting into bed and reading more of Bury Our Bones. So close. I can feel it. I feel like whenever I say like I'm going to finish it tomorrow, it just like delays when I'll actually finish it. So let me not speak on that. I don't know. I'll finish it when I finish it, but thoroughly enjoying, highly recommend. But guarantee you can hear my thoughts on it. 1, in the vlog I'm filming. 2, in my August wrap-up live. So I hope to see you then. Thank you for joining me in all of this chaos through cooking and dinner and fire alarms and literally running around. This was a chaotic life, but I'm glad you were here and I hope you got some reading done. But I'll see you in the next one and I'll see you tomorrow when I upload my video at 5, and I will do that. So keep an eye out. Turn the little notification on, and that way you won't miss it. All right. Good night. Sleep tight. Read lots of books.